Since I was a child, I have lived in a house with 3 rooms and an attic. I have one brother and 2 sisters, so we had to share rooms. My sisters both got their own rooms on the 2nd floor, and me and my brother shared the attic. Our attic has a sloping roof. When I was younger, I always saw big round eyes under the sloping roof on the landing of the attic. Similar to an owl when you can see its whole eyes. I used to think it were birds, because I always saw on TV that birds had big round eyes. But now that I am older, I know that birds could not have come under the roof. There was also nothing electronic or anything at all. During the day it seemed quite normal, but every evening I saw them again. I recently had a conversation with my mother and grandmother about this, and they told me that not only I, but also my brother and sisters saw it. My sister can't really remember it, and my brother can partly. She also said that when we were little, she sometimes went to look when we told her this, but she could not see anything and didn't think anything about it. Then suddenly my grandmother told us that she always felt some kind of negative energy on the attic, so we went upstairs and I pointed out the exact spot. She then said that this is the exact spot where she felt it and that it is still there. I had already forgotten a bit about it, but the other day I was gaming with some friends and we were talking about paranormal experiences, so I told them a bit about it and suddenly I felt a kind of hand on my shoulder. It was already around 2 a.m. and nobody else was awake. I told my friends about the sudden touch and they thought I was crazy. Has anyone had further experiences with this, and does anyone know what this could have been? At the time I was 24-year-old male, living on my own for 2 years. I have a very small bungalow which I'm able to pretty comfortably afford. In this bungalow, I have an attic area. At a guess, I'd say it's about 5 by 5 meters in size, and you can only really stand in there in the very center. Anyway, I work the night shift at a factory, so I usually get in at around 8 a.m. I was coming home last Thursday during a heavy storm. I got into the house and just went to sleep. When I woke up, I went on my phone and saw that I was so tired that I didn't check my notifications. I have a Ring camera outside my door, which shows me anyone who would have come to my room. I saw that it had been tripped at 7:42 a.m. I checked the video and saw that it was a man. He was pressed right up to the door and was fumbling around with the handle. He did this for about 10 seconds until he spotted the camera. Once he did, he very quickly scuttled away. This unsettled me, but didn't entirely creep me out or anything. I got up to go make some food and discovered something in my kitchen. My back window was open. I of course instantly began having the thoughts of a home intruder, but slowly chilled out as I convinced myself I had left it open. The rest of the day consisted of just noticing small things that didn't seem right and scaring myself. All up until a point. I was watching some TV at 9 o'clock-ish. I spotted something that made my heart leap into my throat. Out of the corner of my eye I could see it. My attic entrance was slowly being slid open. I can so vividly remember that I began questioning my sanity. Surely I was just hallucinating or something. I looked over at it and absolutely saw something that made me so much more scared. I saw fingers wrap around the hatch and begin moving it more. I didn't know what to do. I could feel the panic beginning to really get to me, and I wasn't sure if I should leave the house and call the police, or if I should try and yell at whoever was up there. I chose a mixture of both. I began dialing 999 and ran to my bedroom, where I could lock the door. As soon as I began running, I heard the hatch get almost teared off with the speed they moved it. When I arrived at my bedroom door, I looked down the corridor and watched for a second, seeing only a little slice of the blackness up in my attic. I saw the human hand still holding onto the sides of my ceiling. I yelled, "Whoever is there, I am calling the police and I have a gun. If you take a step out of there, I will fucking shoot you." The adrenaline was really making my hands and voice shake, but I tried sounding as tough as I could. Then I saw something that I truly do not think I will ever forget. The hand slipped back into the dark and then he dropped down. I slammed my door shut and locked it as quickly as I could. The call went through. I was able to get on a line with the police and they dispatched officers to my house. I told them that I didn't know if the man was armed or not. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line. I heard the man walking up to my door and rattling the door handle. He also seemingly went through my cupboards in the kitchen as I heard a lot of commotion there. Truth be told, I don't know why he stayed. I would have just left the house, but he stayed right up until the police came in and arrested him. Apparently, he was a homeless man and was armed with a knife from my kitchen. He had recently been seen in the area trying to get into other houses. Truth be told, I'm still very frightened to sleep. I now sleep with my bedroom door locked and all my windows closed. I also sleep with a knife under my pillow. I know that this is unlikely to ever happen again, but I just cannot forget the way he dropped down from my attic. During the summer, I used to vacate from the city to a little retreat upstate, my grandparents' house. I'd do it every summer. It was a nice pad, a big place with lots of rooms, sort of in the middle of nowhere, pretty quiet for the most part. It was pretty much in the middle of the woods, as well. Our nearest neighbors were quite a ways down the road. There's plenty of room in that house, for bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3 floors, plus an attic my grandparents never ever used, and I basically got the basement all to myself. It was a sweet setup. There was a bathroom, fridge, television where I would play my game console, and a comfortable couch to lounge around on all day. The perfect retreat to relax and unwind in peace when I wasn't running around exploring the woods. It was a typical Friday afternoon for me. I'd just gotten done work around 5 p.m. I'm ready to unwind and settle down for the rest of the night when my grandparents informed me they're going out with 2 friends to catch a show before going to dinner and that they'd be back later. I was stoked to hear this as I love having the house to myself, especially after a long day of work. After ensuring everything is off and all the doors are locked, I see them off and order a pizza. After it arrives, I retreat to my little man cave in the basement and lock the door so if I fall asleep my grandparents won't wake me up if they decide to check on me when they arrive home. Everything was going pretty great. A few hours pass, and by this point the sun is completely down, concluding a very lazy Friday afternoon. It's roughly 10 p.m. and I'm in the middle of watching my show when I hear the floorboards creaking upstairs. It was the signal that my grandparents returned home. It sounded like there were 4 sets of feet instead of 2, so it was a safe bet they brought their friends over for company, which was pretty common. I hear chairs creaking and sounds of conversation, so I turn up my TV and lounge back. Before I know it, I'm drifting off to sleep, and just as I thought would happen, I hear the doorknob up above jiggle. I ignore it and just relax. After about 2 hours of peacefully laying there, I decide to call it a night and head upstairs to my real bed. It's midnight now and all's quiet up above, so I assume everybody's gone to bed already. So I get up from the couch and head upstairs to the first floor. I unlock the door and a few of the kitchen lights are on as well as the TV, but for some odd reason it was muted. I figure my grandma probably was in the bathroom and was wrapping up her show or something. I left everything on and walked over to the stairs to the second floor. This is when I realized something wasn't right. From the downstairs you can see the doors to every room. At night when my grandparents are asleep, they usually keep their doors closed, or obviously the bathroom door closed if someone is using it. When I looked up, however, the upstairs was pitch black and I could see every single door was open. I called out upstairs, but I didn't get any response at all. In fact, it seemed as if the house somehow grew more silent. I walked over to the front window and looked out. Not a single car was in the driveway. I was the only one home. I called my grandparents to check in. They were still out and they let me know it'd be a late night. I asked them if they had stopped home at any point. They didn't. Nobody had come home since 5 p.m. We weren't expecting any visits either. The entire time it was just meant to be me and the house all by myself, except I wasn't. I knew what I had heard, and if whoever or whatever was still around, I just called upstairs to them. I checked around the living room as quietly as I could, knife in hand. I refrained from calling the police like a total idiot and silently checked the doors. They were all still locked. I checked the windows. They were locked too. I sat in the living room and listened hard. It was just silence. After about an hour, the front door opened and my grandparents were finally home. Their presence calmed me down a bit. We searched the rest of the house. There didn't seem to be any sign of a break-in. There weren't any other incidents after that, and my grandparents had actually moved since then. I wasn't really able to sleep well in the house after that night. It always felt like I was being watched. Always. To this day, I'm really not sure what it was. The reason I'm typing this now is because one thought just dawned on me. We never did search the attic that night, nor did my grandparents ever go up there. There was so much space in the house, there was never any reason for us to, but maybe, just maybe, somebody else did. A comforting thought to have when the entrance to that attic was in fact in my bedroom.